Hi there, it's Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday. So I'm going to keep this one actually short and sweet this week with a topic that has come to light. I have had a few people talk about what's going on in the Pokemon world, and I'm wondering if Magic the Gathering is going to follow the same road that Pokemon. It's not just Pokemon, it is basically any investable good, whether it be even raw material, or I've heard jewelry is going through a very similar thing. But Pokemon, for as far as collectibles, is the first one that is really being targeted for this. I don't want to call it quite a scam because you can't really hate the player, you have to hate the game. And the game right now is the PPP loans. So someone brought me this attention that there are a few bad actors out there that have created a lot of LLCs or other companies to take advantage of the PPP loans. If you don't know what that is, they've been extended by the government for the COVID relief, and they're supposed to be for the payment protection. And so it's to pay your employees. Say you're a restaurant, you're closed down from COVID. You can take these zero interest loans. Some of them don't even have to be paid back. There's a lot of strings attached to these loans. And apparently they're not getting audited. And they're meant to pay your employees or just help you survive during the COVID lockdowns until you can get back up on your feet. And they're either extremely low interest or no interest, or like I said, sometimes you don't even have to pay them back. And what people are doing is they're funneling that into goods and different types of goods that they are banking that are going to outperform inflation. So the United States dollar is probably going to go through some pretty heavy inflation. That's what we're seeing with like Bitcoin and the stock market. Is we're not really seeing a lot of growth in those sectors. What we're seeing is that it's being comparative to the amount of inflation that's occurring with currency. And it's not the good news is not just United States dollars. It seems like across the board, most currencies are being hyperinflated when you're comparing them to just goods in general. And so rather than keeping money in banks, or in this case, taking out these interest-free loans, what people are doing is they're buying out anything that they feel is going to make money back in the future, or at least hedge it against the inflation. So Pokemon, it's very interesting. In the past couple weeks has just been completely bought out. And I've got TCG Player pulled up, and it's everything across the board. So as far as distributors are concerned, like ACD, GTS, I heard Southern Hobby, and PhD are completely out of Pokemon. There are still a few products available through other distributors like Magazine Exchange, but it's few and far between of what you can get. You can't get anything newer like Vivid Voltage or Champion's Path or Hidden Fates, the reprint. Those are long gone. All those are gone. And even some of the garbage products are starting to move. They're starting to have huge movement. We're talking about the tins. Sometimes the tins are things that aren't that desirable, but people have figured out through booster pack price, the tins are actually worth it. The mini tins or the tins to break down for booster packs. And you can see here, even sets that aren't that old, like Evolutions, are up to $800, or Vivid Voltage Build and Battle display boxes at $500 is the market price for Vivid Voltage Build and Battle box. This is a brand new set going for $500. We have even sets like Crimson Invasion and Sun and Moon that were considered to be pretty terrible sets, going for way above what they would normally go for like distributed pricing. I think Crimson Invasion was $120 a booster box on eBay, and Sun and Moon was actually starting to creep up there. And so it's just crazy what's going on in Pokemon. And that's my gut instinct is it's going to hit Magic next. And if it hasn't hit Magic, maybe this is also what is responsible for some of the what I call dead products, or products that shouldn't be moving, like Commander 2019, or recently like Guilds of Ravnica Allegiance, War of the Spark has had an increase. There was like a dead time period for products. We saw it with last year's tax return. Things go nuts with the first stimulus package with things like Amonkhet or Shadows of Innistrad, Rivals of Ixalan. Those went up quite substantially. And then we saw a kind of a lull in the market when Double Masters came out, and the sealed products didn't go up. But now we have started to see the early stages of what I'm thinking is the same sort of investment into these products. So I like to call it Cryptobros, kind of entering the hobby scene. There is something, I guess, comparatively speaking to other things, more liquid goods like jewelry. I would say the collectibles probably are as liquid as those. Yes, you're going to hit with fees. Yes, you're going to hit with just the time of having to package these things and shipping and whatnot. But when all is said and done, it's a lot more like streamlined than doing other things that you could be, parking your money in. And it doesn't have that big of a learning curve when all products are good. So what used to make the hobby niche as far as Pokemon and Magic the Gathering concerned is you could get killed. You could get absolutely crushed if you didn't know the right products to buy, especially if you're not a player. And we saw this during the time period of like the Amonkhet's and the Shadow of Innistrads, the Hour Devastation, that time period. A lot of people did lose their hat when they tried to invest in the sealed market for Magic the Gathering. And because they end up having to liquidate things for under cost just to try to recoup money when those boxes didn't do well. But when everything is just a slam dunk, comparatively speaking to the USD, I'm thinking that we're going to see this happen in Magic the Gathering. So let's go ahead and take a look at Magic the Gathering, see what it's doing on on TCG Player here for the sealed products. So I've got it my best selling right now. You see the Commander Legends Collector's Booster box is actually going quite strong. The market price for Commander Legends for $300, that's very reasonable. When a couple weeks ago these were going in the 180s, and now we're all up to $300. We have Jumpstart that continues to rise at $130. Modern Horizons, this is the one that went crazy. This was one that was targeted. I don't know which investor did, but it was bought out simultaneously in all distributors in a 24-hour period for the remainder stock of Modern Horizons. And now this one is gone, and you can even see other things that are starting to go up in price that have been stubbornly holding their value. It looks like even set boosters from Zendikar Rising are starting to rise again, which is a good sign for that. But yeah, it looks like there's a move on Dominaria boxes. That one's interesting to me because Dominaria is one of the most printed sets of all time, and even Throne of Eldraine Collector's booster boxes. Those are up quite a bit from last time I checked. So very interesting with that. So that is what interests me. A lot of the factors that you're going to be looking at for sealed product would be to check out TCG Player and eBay just for not only the prices, but the quantities of how many are left. And many times you can do grid list here and take a look or not grid list, take a look at how many quantities of these are being sold at those prices. So a good indicator is when you just have a bunch of one-ofs where you can see if the price is ready to pop on these sort of things. So if there's a big jump, say for example for the booster box from this maybe a one of here, and then you see the first one with any substantial amount of say this one right here would be, it went from 197 to 209 for 12. This is the very first one with 12 available. That might be a pretty good indicator if the price is ready to go when these start to get stripped out. Sealed mark is a little bit less liquid on TCG Player. A lot of people go to TCG Player for more of the sealed, for the singles, and eBay is a better indicator for that. You can go and look at the price trends on eBay with the ones recently sold and compare them week after week after week. And we are starting to see that, though. That is the movement for Magic the Gathering. Now, that is the million-dollar question. Is it going to be Pokemon? I don't think that Magic the Gathering has the exposure that Pokemon has right now. This is something that's been talked about in those communities, in those Cryptobro communities of targeting Pokemon especially. I think Pokemon does have more of that reach into those type of personalities. That Magic is way more of a niche than Pokemon, and it's not. I have been told that it's also hitting some of the old school collectibles too, like the video game industry, and even comic books are starting to have a bit of a resurgence on some of the harder collectible ones. That people are trying to go anywhere possible, but having dead money in the United States dollar as it continues to get inflated away. So, like I said, very short and sweet with today's Market Monday. You can check out the usual sites, the eBays, the TCG Players, the FG Goldfishes for those trends. Not a lot of huge movement here with like the movers and shakers. I know that the reserve list has had a little bit of a bump in some of the harder, like the more in-demand legacy cards and commander cards. But all in all, it seems to be quite quiet as far as the rest of the sealed market is concerned. We'll see some price increases for cards that directly are going in other are pairing with cards that are coming out of Kaldheim. However, you can see here though it's not the greatest amount of movement we'd like to see if the market was just going crazy for all cards across the board. So you can see some of these ones though. Look at these unlimited tundras. This is so hard to gauge though when these have such low supply. When one copy is put up for a higher price or a low copy sold, it always seems to mess with these prices. So that's my $1 million question, everyone in the comment section, is what do you think about Magic the Gathering? Is it something that we're going to see the same sort of money sink into that we saw with Pokemon? I've had some questions too about the legality, the morality of it too. Like I said, hate the game, not the player. I'm not a legal. I don't come to me for legal advice, but that's the word on the street is that these sort of things are not being audited by the Fed, and it's just such a mess in that sector to begin with like these loans they've given out and just the sheer task it is going to take for these sort. Or what I've heard from other people is that there is no discretion. There's these loans do not have it'd be hard for them to actually prosecute because there's nothing in the language that you can't take these loans out for whatever reason possible. It's your discretion whether you need that money to invest right now. I mean, if that's part of your business plan and you're shut down, possibly that is a strategy to get you out of this whole thing. Again, it's just such a mess. You're going to get some of my politics out here if I keep going with how. I don't think it's the government's job to be, handing these things out to left and right. It just always leads to fraud. That's why I'm against like socialism and those sort of things, because I think people have a different perspective of humanity than I do. That humans by default are untrustworthy. If you allow fraud, if you allow for an environment of any, that's why we have prisons. That's why we have all these deterrents that keep people from doing the things we don't want them to do, because the vast majority of humans cannot be trusted to self-police. And therefore, when you allow these sort of loans that can just be taken out without any sort of repercussions, it's going to happen. And then it's going to enter even into the sectors like ours, like the hobby industry, where people can, bet their money against the USD by investing and then reselling a couple months later, making a ton of money. Like look at even like Hidden Fates. If you would have just sunk all of your money into Hidden Fates when there was the reprint for the Elite Trainer boxes from Hidden Fates or Vivid Voltage, I mean that wasn't a low run of booster boxes. That was a normal run of what Pokemon usually releases. That was a set that was November. If you would have just purchased into that, you would have tripled your money by now. And so it can cause bubbles. It can cause markets to completely crash. I think that we are going to have to deal with that reality at some point in time when these sort of things get sold back in the market, when the hen comes back to roost. I think that's going to be the issue with the our little industry, and hopefully it doesn't collapse it. It doesn't cause like a comic book bubble like we saw before. That's what gets me very nervous about that Flesh and Blood game as well. That Flesh and Blood is something that could easily be crushed if the speculators decide all at once to start that domino effect of then releasing back in the supply of everything they invested. So anyway, that's all I have today. Very short little video. I am just swamped doing Kaldheim orders, so I'm going to get back to that. But I thought I'd get this discussion out there for the YouTubes, and really interested in your comments in the comment section below. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.